Her organization was in the middle of a massive reorg. People were being laid off. Everyone was anxious, and she decided that she was going to help. This leader was going to be the gold standard that stood out among everyone. So, how was she going to do that? With a plan. She made spreadsheets, she made org charts, she had promotion paths for every single person on her team. She wanted them to feel safe and to be safe, regardless of what this organization had to hold for them. But when she presented it, was she met with relief from her staff? Did she see the weight come off of their shoulders? No. She saw blank stares. She saw tears. She saw panic on their faces. And the more that she saw fear, the more that she shared, the more details she went into, the more that she shared, the worse it got. Because this is the leadership trap that so many good managers fall into, being too transparent. And today, I want to show you how to avoid it, how to communicate with clarity, how to communicate calmly so that your team can see that you are the one to follow through the darkness and into the light. Even in these most uncertain times, when we are talking about the potential loss of your livelihood, your team can actually feel secure. They can feel less stress and they can take action to make their lives better when you communicate well. Now, I bet you have been in that position before, the same as that leader. Her name's Brooke. And I've been there too, right? We always want to help our people when there are these difficult situations. If there is something that we can do to serve them and support them, we want to put that in as a leader. And oftentimes, we think as the top person on that team, we can fix it with knowledge. We might know more than them, so we can share that with them. We can control the information that we have that we impart on them. And so we think that if they just knew what we know, they would feel a little bit better. If they had all of the information that we have, they would worry less. But it doesn't work that way. Transparency is powerful, but all of those small bits and pieces in that detail just create this tidal wave of overwhelm. Now, let's think about it. If you were on this team, if you were on Brooke's team, okay, so here's you, oops, right? And you're all stressed out. This is a tough time. You are worried. This is not going well. Okay. You're unhappy, right? And then you have all of these little plans being thrown at you. So you could get promoted, right? You could build a skill. You could get political. Within the organization, office politics are sometimes some of the most important things that you can do. You can look at all of your KPIs and you can figure out where you had the best results. You can do all of these things. And honestly, Brooke's overall plan, her overall structure with all of those spreadsheets and org charts, that was her throwing all this information at people. And so, on top of that fear, on top of that visceral anxiety that they're feeling, there's just this wave of information as if you threw a whole box of puzzle pieces at someone and said, "Isn't it a beautiful picture?" There's no way for them to know because they're getting hit with it all at once. So, the problem wasn't that Brooke was being uncaring. She was throwing it all at them because she wanted them to be the best equipped. She wanted them to have clarity on everything that could help them move forward, like the results, like the potential of being promoted, like the ability to build skills. She wanted to equip them both in their mindset and in the tangible acts that they could do. The problem is that transparency doesn't necessarily equal clarity. Let me say that again. Transparency does not equal clarity. She was trying to be kind, but what she did was overwhelm them with all of these pieces of the puzzle that just came at them as a tidal wave, pinging them the whole way down. And nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants to just get pelted with these puzzle pieces, with these bits of data that could maybe help you if you knew how to put them together the right way. So, we're not going to do this. Even us well meaning managers, we are not going to pepper our people anymore. We are going to take a systematic approach that actually involves all of their senses to lead them out of that darkness so that they can see the light of where this is going. Because it is possible to have people in the throes of that anxiety, in some of the most fearful situations of their life, the potential to lose their livelihood. You can lead them well in that situation. So, I want to give you 3 clear steps on how to do that. And the very first one is going to be to start with your why. So, let's get another employee here, should we? Okay. So, we have our new employee who's going to be led the right way. They aren't going to be frustrated by getting all the peppered. They are going to get a systematic, structured approach to help lead them through the darkness. Okay, now before you say a word to them, while you are still muddling through exactly what you want to say in the situation, I want you to consider, what are the top 3 reasons why you want to do this? Why do you want to share any sort of information with them? And if you're looking at your screen because this seems obvious, and why would I ask such a stupid question? Can you articulate it? You may know how you feel. You may know that you really care about them. But why is it that you want to build out this plan like Brooke? Why is it that you want to potentially get them promoted? Why is it that you want to set up their resumes to help them as they move forward in their career, whether it's with this organization or with another? Why is that? Because when you think about what matters most, you can start to use that as your main point. And every fear, every concern, every question that comes either at them or from them can be guarded by this shield that you have created of whys. So, what you're doing is taking what's in your heart and articulating it so it can be on theirs. So, like I said, we're giving them 3. We're giving them 3 big, bold heart moves on why you would be wanting to do this, on why you would want to equip them in this way. And it doesn't have to be about a potential loss of a job, it could be any uncertain moment that you are walking your team through. Think about the 3 whys that are driving that for you, and then build them up into their heart so that they can feel that why from you, and it will act as that shield to protect them from everything that can come their way. That is your first step. Your whys become the anchor in that chaos. People aren't going to remember every single bullet point that you peppered them with. They aren't going to remember every question that they had or response that they got, but they will remember the purpose that you built into their hearts. All right. And once they have that, once you have secured that in them, then I want you to paint the vision. Remember how we talked about that puzzle that or not you, that Brooke potentially threw at them and just pelted them with all of the pieces and said, "Hey, how do you like that picture?" But they couldn't see it because it was hitting them all at once. I want you to skip the puzzle pieces and just show them the box. They don't need the 1,000-piece puzzle. It's going to overwhelm them. It is going to make things more difficult. What they need is to see the picture on the front of the box to know where they are going. So you don't have to say, this is going to, get you to this position, which could get you to that position, which could open the door to speak to this person. Those are all of the little details. Those are the bullet points that you were peppering them with. But if you say, One door closing could be the opportunity for you to refine your goals and step into the dream job that you never realized was a possibility before. Now you are creating this whole future vision for them. So once we've connected their heart, I want you to connect their eyes. Help them to see that vision. Help them see what's possible. Because at this point, they are just walking in this darkness, right? And they can't see that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. It is your job to tell them where they're headed and how they can possibly get there at that high level, just the opportunity we have now and where it can take them in the future. That is your responsibility. When you can paint that end step of what success is going to look like for them in the future, whether that's 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now, it doesn't matter. When you can paint that picture of success, then they stop guessing. And that clarity allows them to actually focus on taking action. Because that's what we wanted them to do, right? That's why Brooke gave them all of those options. She wanted them to have things that they could take action on. And she felt like those little pieces were going to be the route to get them there. But you know that when you're walking in the dark, you can't just run ahead, right? So that brings us to our step three. We are only going to share the next step, only the next action step that is in this small piece, right? So we connected with their heart. We let them know why we want this for them. We gave them a vision. We reminded them of where they're going and who they could be. And now we are only going to give them the next steps. We are going to guide their feet to take them in only the small steps that they need to go at this time. So we'll give our person some shoes. We only want them to follow these few small steps because think of it again as you're walking in the darkness, right? If you were the lead person walking through the dark, you would put one hand out to be able to make sure that you were safe, that you were secure. You would step slowly, but continue to move, and you would put one hand back so that you could touch and keep connection with that person who's following you. That's how you would lead them through the dark to the destination that you're taking them. And that's exactly what you want to do with these employees. You are going to build their heart. You are going to speak to them to create this security in this shield. And then you are going to give them the vision of who they could become. And finally, you are going to build those steps in so that they can follow you step for step, slowly through the darkness. Now, just a tip for you as you are actually putting this into action. If you notice that when you talk about the next steps, rather than getting a bunch of nods and engagement and maybe even excitement to take those steps with you, if you are getting this more anxious reaction, that is a trigger for you. That is a tell that says, did I give them too much? Did I go too far too fast? How can I reach my hand back in the dark to make sure that we are connected and we are walking in step together? Now, I want you to remember that this talk is not to beat up on Brooke, right? She was doing everything with the best of intentions. She was trying to be transparent with her team. She was trying to provide clarity through that transparency. But she failed because confused transparency does not mean clarity. If I held up a transparent piece of plexiglass, right? It doesn't mean that I get the absolute clarity that I need. It's when I stand back and take in the full vision that I can see the clarity that I need to move forward. So, as a leader, your job isn't to share every single thing that you know. That level of transparency isn't even helpful. People don't want that. It's to share what matters most and to get people on your side to get them influenced on what matters most, focusing on going in this order will get you there every single time. All right, friends, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that this sort of visual helps you understand the difference between transparency and creating clarity for your team. If this was helpful and you want more of this in videos, please add a comment, let me know, like this video so that I know that you like this style. And as always, if the content is something that you know other people need, please share it far and wide so we can get the message out to more people. All right, have a wonderful day.